Hello and welcome back to this edition of All Access with the Profs. My name is Leo West, and filling in for Gerasmos Gervasilio is our very own producer, Logan Stewart. So Logan, how does it feel to be back on this side of the camera?
Feels great to be back on this side of the camera, Leo, away from the control room this week. Great to be with you and looking forward to the show today.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, we were actually on the debate segment together last year.
Yes,
but
we were.
Logan was doing the anchoring and I was doing the debating, so now the student has become the master, I would say a little bit. But before we get into all the great stuff we have for you today, our top story tonight is Eric Brennan has joined former Rowan head coach at Air Force for men's basketball. And that's a pretty big thing, too, because Brennan was part of a team that won a playoff game in the NJAC playoffs this year. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Eric Brennan joining former Rowan head coach Joe Crispin at the Air Force Academy, and it's definitely a huge move. Did not expect to see this coming at all, especially after Rowan making it back to the NJAC tournament this year. Definitely a shocking move.
When you get a D1 offer, you can't exactly turn it down. And guess who broke the news, everybody? It was our very own Luke Brown. So shout out Luke Brown for doing some due diligence on that story right there.
But going back to the show, coming up, Luke Brown talks to our athlete of the week this week. Baseball breaks some scoring records over the weekend. Skylar Sweeney will have that coverage. And Mason Kennahan breaks down the tape on Tape Talk.
First up, we have lacrosse. The Profs have some major ranked wins over the last couple of weeks and sit atop the NJAC. With more on how the Profs are doing, Jordan Weisinger has the latest.
Thanks, guys. The now 13th ranked Rowan Profs took on Stockton here at home last Wednesday and Ramapo up in Mahwah on Saturday to begin NJAC play in 2026. Stockton went out to an early 2-0 lead in the first quarter, but in the blink of an eye, the NJAC leading goals per game and shots per game Profs pulled away, scoring 10 of the next 15 goals. Rowan went on to win 16-9 thanks to Elena Corson and Madison Rothwine combining for 11 goals scored. The game against Ramapo was arguably Rowan's best win of the season. Call these Profs Wild E Coyote the way they shut down the Roadrunners, winning by a final of 21-0. Corson scored 5 goals and became the all-time leading scorer at Rowan University that now stands at 253 and climbing. Rothwine also had his school record 16 draw controls in the win. Rowan is now 11-2 on the season and 2-0 in conference play with an 8-game win streak. They take on Kane this Saturday at 1 p.m. for Senior Day. From the Rowan Soccer and Lacrosse Complex, I'm Jordan Weisinger. Now, let's send it to Luke Brown for this week's edition of Athlete of the Week.
Here with our All-Access Athlete of the Week, Maddie Rothwine from the women's lacrosse team. Maddie, thanks for joining me. And we got to start with your draw control performance over the last 2 games. A school record on Saturday in draw controls, 30 total over the last 2 games. What's been working for you inside the circle in the last 2 games?
No, yeah, it's a 3-person game. I mean, I have Lex and Elena that go out there with me, and I do a good job communicating to them and them communicating right back. So I'm going to do a good job boxing out so I can grab those balls, and if I don't come up with them, I know they have every single grab ball. So.
You said earlier this season that it's your favorite aspect of the game. What about that competition inside the circle, you against the other girl, whoever Rowan is playing, do you enjoy about the draw circle in particularly?
I think of it as like make it, take it. So, I mean, we score a goal on defense, on offense, and then we come right back and I try and win the ball back for my team, and that's just how I play. I mean, if I know I don't come up with it, I know Elena or Lex will.
This team has obviously had a lot of success in the last stretch of games. 9 goals for you in the last 2 against Stockton and Ramapo. So outside of the draw circle, when you get on the offensive end, what's working for you and what's working for this offense?
I think offense basketball games have really been clicking. I know the Stockton game, we started off a little rocky the first quarter. We didn't have any goals, but we don't let that deter us, and we went right back out there and obviously took it to them and made a pretty good lead in that game. So it started working, started clicking. We've seen the feeds inside, and we converted on a lot of our 8 meters, so it just started working.
This group has a rare Wednesday off this week. How do you guys make the most of this time off until Saturday's game against Kane?
Yeah, so far this week we've been doing some film in the locker room before practice, and then I know a handful of us went out today before practice and get some reps in, and I know tomorrow I'll probably hit the wall or just rehydrate, make sure I'm feeling my body, just get ready for this weekend.
This group obviously has a large task at hand. This is your first season with the team, but TC&J has obviously been a big monkey on the back of this group, and this season it seems like it's going to be as competitive as ever. So how does the group get the job done as this season progresses?
I think starting off with NJAC and going 2-0 and having some good wins and obviously a shutout against Ramapo, and then we're clicking on all wins from defense. I mean, Leah has obviously been killing it, going to the offensive end, carrying the ball over, and everybody else, Kai's been making some great saves, and we're converting on all ends. So I'm excited to face off against TCNJ as my first game.
Maddie Rothwein, our All Access Athlete of the Week. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Luke. What a weekend season it really has been for Rowan women's lacrosse this year, Leo.
It's been a great year. I mean, Elena Corson breaking the all-time goals record. That's unprecedented stuff, too. I mean, on the season, they've been probably the best team in the NJAC if you want to look at their resume altogether, too, and not to mention one of the top 25 teams in the country, and now an NJAC Defensive Player of the Week. That's those are all the ingredients for a really, really good team come playoff time.
Yeah, and as you said, Rowan's sitting atop the NJAC right now. TCNJ right behind him as well. Keegan Thompson will have more coverage on that later in around the NJAC. But now let's move over to a baseball with Rowan taking on Rutgers. Camden, to the nest we go. Austin Cranehagen on the mound today for the Rowan Profs. And runners on second and third for Nick Struble sends a 2-run double down the line in left field, and that's going to drop in. 2 runs will come home to score. It's 2-0 in the bottom of the first for Nick Struble with the celebration there. Damon Suriani with an RBI single into left field with the bases loaded in the bottom of the third gives the Profs a 7-1 lead with Luke Bakunis scoring.
Now here come Rutgers Camden. This is a nice little gap shot right there that drops in for a base hit. They're going to be able to score on this one, make it 11-2. And then Evan Carbone's going to step up. He's going to slap one into right field. That's going to get away, and some more runs are going to score on the error. Now it's 11-4.
And then Chris Smith with a 2-run double into left field with the bases loaded. That'll make the score 7-11. All of a sudden, Rutgers Camden is right back in this. But then in the bottom of the inning, Nick Struble with a 2-run single to extend the lead for Rowan 13-7 as 2 runs come in to score. And then
Suriani's day wasn't done there as he just gets enough on that one. But it gets all the way around from a triple, and more runs coming to score on that, too. It's 18-8. Now, here's Ian Murphy, and he sends one deep to right field. You can kiss that one goodbye. 2-run shot. Now it's 21-8. Incredible stuff from the Profs.
And then Suriani in the bottom of the 5th inning caps off the inning with a sac fly to bring in another runner. That caps off an 11-run inning in the bottom of the 5th. To put the Profs in the lead 24-8. And then Joey Bogart with an RBI double to extend the lead to 26-8 as well.
And then Brett Chiesa with the RBI single extends the lead 29-8, the last run of the game. And now we got some geese on the field. Joey Bogart tries to chase him away, but top of the 8th with the mercy rule on the line. Charlie Russell comes in, strikes out the batter, Christian Meitzler, to win 29-11 and break the all-time runs in a game scoring record for the Profs. Some incredible stuff right there.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, Leo, breaks the run score record. And now for more on baseball, here is our own Skylar Sweeney.
Thanks, Leo and Logan. It was a statement senior day in Glassboro as Rowan baseball dominated Rutgers Newark in a doubleheader sweep, pushing their overall record to 21-3. Rowan took Game 1 9-4 with Zach Coluccio striking out 7 over 7 innings, while the offense was fueled by multiple RBI performances before erupting in Game 2 for a 24-3 blowout, scoring 20-plus runs in 2 of their last 3 games. Behind Nick Struble's 6 RBI, Braden Davis going 4 for 5 with 5 runs scored and 4 RBI, and a huge mid-game surge that broke it wide open, as the Profs have now outscored opponents 62-18 over their last 3 games. Rowan's veterans led the charge in a dominant performance that keeps the Profs rolling. I'm Skylar Sweeney with All Access with the Profs, sending it over to you guys in the studio.
Great work, Skylar. Softball now sits 23rd in the national rankings and is now fully into the NJAC season. With the latest on the Profs, here's Jake Clark with more.
Thanks, guys. Rowan softball continued their schedule on the road with games against TCNJ and NJCU this past week. Rowan began the week traveling to Ewing, New Jersey to battle against the TCNJ Lions. The Profs and the Lions played 2 very close games, with both games going into extra innings, but Rowan defeated TCNJ in the doubleheader. Rowan won Game 1 of the doubleheader 3-0 in 8 innings. Freshman Maggie Funston hit a 2-run home run in the 8th inning to give the Profs the lead. Rowan sophomore Beth Ann Joderer pitched all 8 innings and struck out 5 in the shutout win. In Game 2 of the 2-game set, Rowan defeated TCNJ 4-3 in 8 innings. The Profs got off to a 3-0 lead, but the Lions came back and forced the game to extra innings. In the 8th inning, Rowan freshman Zoe Rogers came around to score on a wild pitch, and that was the game-winning run. On Saturday, the Profs traveled to Jersey City to take on the Gothic Knights of NJCU. Rowan's offense was explosive in both games as the Profs won Game 1 19-0 and Game 2 12-0. Freshman Eva Dobkin led the way in Game 1, going 4 for 4 with 5 RBIs in the statement win. In Game 2, Michaela Dansky and freshman Carly Polsky hit home runs to lead Rowan to another dominant win. Rowan softball is now 23-7 on the year and 8-2 in conference play. The Profs are currently on a 6-game win streak and look to continue their winning ways throughout the rest of April. From SB Gym, I'm Jake Clark, now throwing it to Mason Kinahan with Tape Talk.
Thanks, Jake. The Rowan softball team dominated NJCU over the weekend, sweeping the Gothic Knights and outscoring them 31-0 in the 2-game stretch. The Profs offense was on fire, but how about that defense with multiple double plays during the 2-game stretch? How was Rowan able to keep a donut in the runs column for NJCU? Well, let's dive into the tape and find out. The first play I want to take a look at occurs in the bottom of the 3rd inning of the first game. There's no outs. The Profs are already up 6-0, so they're trying to potentially get out of this game before we even get to the 7th inning. You'll see here, this is a prime bunt opportunity for NJCU. You've got to run on first base. You need to try and advance some runners, just put some pressure on the Profs defense. And, you're already down 6. So the Profs kind of recognize that this is a bunt opportunity with no outs. The third baseman you'll see kind of will crash into home plate here. Same with the first baseman. And, NJCU does a good job. It's going to be an out at first. The runner advances from first to second. And now all of a sudden there's a runner in scoring position for the Gothic Knights. A few pitches later, we have an 0-2 count. Still only 1 out after that sacrifice bunt. But NJCU is still trying to get that donut off the scoreboard. They've got this runner at second base who could definitely score if something gets hit into one of the outfield gaps and drops, or at least, move up to third base if things go their way. So Rowan's defense still has to be on high alert now with a runner in scoring position. You'll see this ball, kind of a fly ball into right center field. Michaela Dansky is going to start tracking this thing, moving to her left side. She starts to move laterally to her left, maybe back up a little bit to the deeper portions of the outfield, but this is actually not going to be the initial path of the ball. Whether it was the wind that knocked it down or maybe a misread by Dansky on initial contact, Dansky is going to change her direction and the way she's moving to kind of move up and forward into the shallower portions of the outfield pretty quickly and pretty significantly as well in order to try and make this play. Now, there's a lot on her mind at this point of this play because you've got priority number 1, catch this ball, right? Because this is a very catchable fly ball, whether it was a misread or something happened with the way she saw the ball originally off of the batter's bat. She still has to make this catch because this is a very catchable ball. Number 2 is this runner here at second base, because if she does catch this ball, this runner could potentially be moving and advance to third. So a lot on the mind of Michaela Dansky right here. Dansky's going to make an incredible catch, basically full arm extension, reaching in front of her to come down with this thing. And as soon as she does, she's going to get her eyes up and she is firing this thing over to third base. She doesn't even know if this runner is going to tag up or not, which this runner does. And let me just say, it's one, a poor decision, and 2, a poor get off from this runner. But she is going to fire this thing over to Funston, the freshman at third base. Perfect position. And look, by the time Funston gets this thing, the runner's probably 2/3 of the way to third base. So this is an easy tag for Funston and an easy double play for Rowan. Fast forward now to game 2, bottom of the 4th inning, very similar situation. 1 out, the Profs are up big. They're looking to end this game before we get to 7 innings as well. And you'll see this is a pretty classic double play situation. You've got a runner at first base. You're looking for something in the infield to potentially turn to here, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Zoe Rogers, the freshman over here at shortstop, is going to have an eye on this weakly hit ground ball. And once she has it, she knows she can either toss this thing over to the second baseman or take it herself. With a lot of speed coming over from first base, she decides to go for the safer play, take it herself, beats the runner by a step, and look at the velocity on this throw. Fires it over the first. A great play by Sophia McBride to reach out and grab this one about a half step before the hitter gets over to first base as well to end the inning with another double play. That'll do it for this week's segment of Tape Talk. I've been your host, Mason Kinahan, and now let's send it back to the studio.
Thanks, Mason. Men's and women's outdoor track and field competed at home for the first time this year over the weekend. With the results is Aiden Ray.
Thanks, guys. The Rowan men's and women's outdoor track and field teams both competed this weekend at home for the Ostermoor Invitational. Both teams also honored their seniors on Saturday. Starting off with the men's team, national and team records were set. Anais Hughes, Val Augustine, Kwaku Nkrumah, and Jason Agumang turned in a new Division III 4x110 meter shuttle hurdle relay record. The old time of the auxiliary event was 58.18 set by Central last season. The record was 57.58. Ray John Dixon broke the school record in the 100-meter finals with a time of 10.32 and claimed a number 4 Division III time in the process. A great job by the men's team. Moving over to the women's team, more results were put up. Nyla Jones clocked in at 103.02 in the 400-meter hurdles for a new number 1 NJAC and a number 15 Division III best time. Denira Jones claimed the long jump with a winning mark of 5.52 meters to put her in the top 25 in Division III and number 2 in the NJAC. A great job by the women's team. Up next for both track and field teams, they will compete in multiple different events over the weekend. Both teams will be at the Paul Donahue Invitational at Widener University, while the men's team will be at the University of Virginia for the Virginia Challenge, and the women's team will be at North Carolina A&T for the Aggie Invitational. This is Aiden Ray, your Rowan track and field reporter here on All Access with the Profs, and we will send it right back to the studio.
Thanks, Aiden. And how about all these Rowan teams being ranked this far into the year, Leo?
I mean, it's really impressive, too. I mean, you got men's track and field at 1, you got baseball at 6, you got lacrosse at 16, and as we also mentioned, softball's at 23. I mean, that's 4 out of the 5 sports being in the national rankings, too. And I feel like we don't give enough love to track and field, too. So I'm glad Aiden Ray was on it. I mean, because the indoor team was coming off a national championship. I mean, that's just not something that happens once every year, you know?
Yeah,
so this is pretty impressive stuff.
Plus also baseball coming off of the World Series last year, coming in with basically a completely new team as well, losing their top 4 hitters in the lineup, also 2 pitchers as well. And the way that they have come back this year and still number 6, still a top 10 team in the nation is just absurd.
It really is absurd. And, you know, NIL be that as it may, too. The transfer portal has helped out Rowan in a lot of ways, especially with baseball and with softball, too. I mean, you know, Ava Fisher's been a big part of that team, and no wonder why the Profs are right in there. And then the homegrown team, the Profs lacrosse team, has just been doing incredible stuff all year. But before we continue the show, coming up, we have Primetime Preview, we have Around the NJAC, and it's Jake Kitchen with the weekly sports update. But don't go anywhere. Here on All Access with the Profs, we'll be right back after these short messages.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another edition of the calendar segment here on All Access with the Profs. My name is Owen Caldwell, and on this edition, we will be covering 2 weeks' worth of events in Rowan Athletics. Instead of going day by day, we will go team by team. With this being said, let's get started. Let's start off with Rowan Baseball, ranked among the top teams in the nation in the latest D3Baseball.com poll. Rowan's homestand that started this past Friday is still going strong, as this Wednesday, the Profs will welcome in Haverford, followed by TCNJ on Thursday. Both of these games are scheduled to begin at 3:30 p.m. from the Rowan baseball field. Then, on Friday, the Profs will wrap up their home-and-home with TCNJ, this time traveling to Ewing, New Jersey, as it says right here, for another 3:30 p.m. start with the Lions. On Saturday, Rowan returns home once again as the Profs will host the 12th-ranked Kane Cougars in a doubleheader from Glassboro. Games are scheduled for 11:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. on this day. After the Kane doubleheader, Rowan's next game is scheduled to take place 3 days later on Tuesday as the Profs host Immaculata at 3:30 p.m. Then, on Thursday and Friday, April 23rd and 24th, Rowan will play in another home-and-home, this time against NJCU. The Profs will head up to Jersey City on Thursday the 23rd and host the Gothic Knights on Friday the 24th. Both of these games are scheduled for 3:30 p.m. Finally, Rowan finishes its regular season with an 11:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. doubleheader on Saturday, April 25th against William Patterson in Wayne, New Jersey. This sets us up for the NJAC tournament, which is set to start on Tuesday, April 28th. We will see who Rowan's first opponent is, as well as time and location as we get closer. Now it's on to Rowan softball, currently ranked number 20 in the nation according to the NFCA. A lot of home doubleheaders are on the horizon for the Profs. On Thursday, Rowan will welcome John Jay, with games scheduled for 2 and 4 p.m. Next, the Profs will host William Patterson on Saturday for 1 and 3 p.m. starts against the Pioneers. The homestand continues on Tuesday as the Profs will go head-to-head with Rutgers Newark, with games once again taking place at 2 and 4 p.m. The homestand ends here for Rowan, however, as the Profs will travel up to Mahwah, New Jersey to face Ramapo on Saturday, April 25th in a 1 and 3 p.m. doubleheader to close out the regular season. And just like for baseball, Tuesday, April 28th is when the NJAC playoffs are set to kick off for softball. As we get closer to the start of tournament play, we will get to know more about Rowan's first opponent, as well as the location and time for this game. Next up on the calendar is women's lacrosse. The Profs are currently ranked number 16 in the nation according to the IWLCA. After a 21-0 win over Ramapo this past Saturday, the Profs will welcome Kane to Glassboro this upcoming Saturday for a 1 p.m. start. Then, Rowan has just 2 more games remaining in their regular season. On the road on Wednesday, April 22nd against Montclair State. That game is set to begin at 7 p.m. And then at home against 18th-ranked TCNJ on Saturday, April 25th. And that game is scheduled to start at 1 p.m. Finally, let's talk about outdoor track and field, starting with the men's team. The Profs are currently ranked first in the nation, according to the latest USTF-CCCA Track and Field Rating Index. This upcoming Friday and Saturday, Rowan will be participating in the Virginia Challenge in Charlottesville, Virginia at 10:30 and 10 a.m. respectively, and the Paul Donahue Invitational from Chester, Pennsylvania, with respective start times of 2:30 p.m. and 9 a.m. Fast forward to next Friday and Saturday, April 24th and 25th, and it's another busy weekend for the Profs, as they will take part in the Rick McCorkle Invitational from Ewing, New Jersey, and the Penn Relays from Franklin Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Start times for the Rick McCorkle Invitational are still to be announced, and the Penn Relays are set to begin at 9 a.m. on both of these days. As for women's outdoor track and field, the Profs will be in Greensboro, North Carolina this Friday and Saturday to participate in the North Carolina A&T Aggie Invitational, as well as Chester, Pennsylvania for the Paul Donahue Invitational. And it was announced recently that the Profs would also be at the Virginia Challenge this Thursday at 5 p.m. Anyway, respective start times for the other events are 2 p.m. and 10 a.m. in North Carolina and 2:30 p.m. and 9 a.m. in Pennsylvania. Moving on to next weekend, Friday and Saturday, April 24th and 25th, and the Profs will also find themselves taking part in both the Rick McCorkle Invitational, with times still to be announced, as well as the Penn Relays set to start at 9 a.m. on both days. Since we just went through a ton of information, we have 2 games of the week to preview on this segment. First, we have baseball's doubleheader against Kane this upcoming Saturday. These are the top 2 teams from the NJAC preseason poll for this year. Also, last year, both of these teams made it to the NCAA Division III Championship Tournament out in Ohio. We will see what happens this time around. Our second game to discuss here is women's lacrosse against TCNJ on April 25th. Just like with baseball, this game also features the top 2 teams in the NJAC preseason poll for this year. Also, would you believe this? According to Rowan Athletics, these 2 teams have met in the NJAC Championship in each of the last 4 seasons. We will see what happens in the tournament this year, but first we have this game to monitor. Either way, that will do it for another calendar segment here on All Access with the Profs. Now, let's send it to Sam Prince and Nolan Dowell for primetime preview, as the two will provide further insight into Rowan Baseball's upcoming doubleheader against Kane.
Thank you, Owen. And this week, filling in for Greg Mazzo's shoes is Nolan Dowell. And Nolan, what is it like being in front of the camera this time?
Oh, it's great. I mean, I know I got big shoes to fill with Greg, but, you know, I'm going to try to do my best.
All right, well, you got some big shoes to fill tonight. And this weekend, the number 3 ranked Rowan baseball team will take on their NJAC rival, Kane Cougars, in a doubleheader with first pitch of Game 1 on Saturday, 11:30 a.m. And these bats have been on an all-time heater, scoring 73 runs these past 5 games. In this 5-game stretch, they've been at a program high of 29 runs against Rutgers Camden on Friday, and their 29-11 victory. But Nolan, who from this lineup should Profs fans be looking out for?
You know, Sam, I think it's hard to talk about Profs baseball without mentioning the breakout season that Braden Davis has been having for this Profs team. He's had an RBI every game in April so far, and in 19 out of their 24 games this season, he's batted a run in. This season, you know, you thought he'd take a nice little leap from last year where he batted .309 in 45 games with 60 hits, 8 homers, and 47 RBIs. Well, this season, he's jumped up to .451 on the season, which would be tied for 3rd all-time in a single season by a Profs batter in 24 games this season. He has 46 hits, 9 homers, and the same amount of RBIs as last year with 47. So his season has been fantastic, and he's definitely a guy to watch out for against Kane.
I mean, I feel like this whole lineup, 1 through 9, everyone's got to be watch out. But let's talk about the shortstop, Kyle Lamentieri, who had a go-ahead home run on the top of the 9th in their victory of Game 1 versus Rutgers Camden, their 11-8 victory, where ever since then, he's been batting .571 on the season. He's just been an absolute tear.
Yeah, and you talk about .571, that's a pretty good batting average. Well, someone who's been batting .611 in the last 5 games is Joey Bogart, .611 in the last 5 games with 10 runs scored, 2 doubles, and 6 RBIs. He's contributed to 16 of the 52 runs the Profs have scored, and he earned himself his first career NJAC Baseball Offensive Player of the Week award. Just a fantastic week for this Profs offense.
Well, Nolan, thank you for joining us on Primetime Preview and filling in for big shoes. Yes, you did, for Greg Maz. I know it's pretty big shoes. I mean, he's G-Maz himself. So we thank you for your contribute this season of All Access with the Profs. And, well, if you want to talk more NJAC baseball, we got you coming up. Let's check out what's going around the rest of the conference. Keegan Thompson has you covered.
Thank you, Sam. This week on Around the NJAC, we'll be having a look at spring sports standings as they are right now and highlight some key matchups that might indicate who will be on top come playoffs. And let's start with softball. I mentioned last week that I thought this week's results would clear things up. I was wrong. Same 4 teams are at the top of the conference right now in Stockton, Rowan, Ramapo, and TCNJ. And the Lions' tough week comes to an end today in a doubleheader versus Stockton, which could shake up everything here. Last week, TCNJ lost both games against Rowan, but beat Ramapo in that doubleheader, both by 2 runs. So they're still in striking distance if the runners will stumble. And speaking of stumbling, Stockton split a doubleheader versus Montclair State this weekend, and they also split one against Rutgers Camden, both of those losses without scoring a single run. So if the Ospreys lose just one more and Rowan remains perfect for the rest of the season, the Profs will move into the number 1 spot against Stockton despite losing the double over them 2 weeks ago. And make sure Stockton versus Ramapo is circled on your calendar this Saturday, the 18th, as well as Rowan versus Ramapo a week later on the 25th. And by the way, folks, this is just in. TCNJ in their doubleheader against Stockton. They are currently down 9-7 at the top of the 7th right now. Who knows? Rowan on top with a nice 2-game cushion over in baseball now. We're going to have a look at that in just a second here. But yes, so top of the 7th, 2 outs right now for Rutgers Camden. Not Rutgers Camden, excuse me. In any case, though, let's take a look at baseball. So perhaps the Scarlet Raptors in this case, if you wanted to talk about things, Rowan beat both of Rutgers Camden and Rutgers Newark this week to take that polling position at the top of the conference. And Montclair State currently ahead by virtue of their better record. Excuse me, folks. Let me readjust for a moment here. The Roadrunners got swept last week by the Profs at the end of the month. Excuse me. You probably already know what I'm going to say next. So Ramapo and Montclair State, they're on a collision course for a home-and-home on Friday the 24th and Saturday the 25th. A split will edge to Montclair State, but a Ramapo double puts the Roadrunners in second. This is, of course, unless anything catastrophic happens between now and then, which is still possible since Rutgers Camden is still in the hunt and has a doubleheader against mighty Montclair on the 18th. Both will be in Camden. Kane, meanwhile, also right there with a doubleheader of their own on the 18th against the Rowan Profs, right here at the Nest in Glassboro. Owen Caldwell mentioned that earlier on. And an upset here might not hurt Rowan's chances too much. Again, they do have that 2-game advantage over second place, but it could springboard the Cougars into striking distance of second place. All right, folks, that was a lot. Thank goodness we're finally on to women's lacrosse, which is only 6 teams. Whew! And to the shock of absolutely no one, it's Rowan and TCNJ in the polling positions, both undefeated in conference play, Rowan ahead by virtue of an extra game played in their regular season. Now, it was tentative against Stockton this past week. The Rowan Profs gave them a run for their money in the first half, which you heard earlier in the broadcast from Jordan. But the Profs were able to get it done in the end. TCNJ, meanwhile, buried Kane 19-5 on that same day. So the dichotomy at the top is truly well and alive in the world of NJAC lacrosse. And as I mentioned earlier, Owen did highlight TCNJ versus Rowan on the 25th during the calendar segment, and he's absolutely right. These are 2 nationally ranked teams. Both want home field advantage in the NJAC playoffs, and a matchup that comes with TCNJ winning 59 times and 23 times straight against the Profs. There is only 1 win that Rowan has ever had over TCNJ, and that won them their only NJAC Women's Lacrosse Championship all the way back in 2010, 16 years ago. But the battle for 3rd and 4th is at hand as well, with Montclair traveling to Galloway for a date with the 4-9 Ospreys this Friday. So keep an eye on this one. Stockton, a massive dark horse in the standings, judging by how solid its defense was in the first half against Rowan. Ospreys will also play TCNJ next Wednesday on the 22nd, a matchup that they have not won in school history. Now, hopefully my ramblings have painted a better picture of where things stand right now in the NJAC and where they may go over the next 2 weeks. That said, 14 days is a long time, and as we know, anything can truly happen around the NJAC. I'm Keegan Thompson. Let's head back to the main desk.
Thanks, Keegan. The Profs have gotten off to a really strong start in conference play, as you just mentioned, this year, Leo.
I mean, baseball is off to a tear. They sit first atop the NJAC, too. And softball scored 31 runs in back-to-back games. And they only have 2 losses in the conference. It's been really, really impressive stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah, and also got to mention lacrosse as well with how good that they're playing as well. But let's send it over to professional sports news right now. Jake Kitchen with Weekly Sports News.
Oh, shit. No, we can't go. You can't go.
Oh, well... here, but with lacrosse, it's definitely been a good season.
I mean, we have to mention their transfer too, Maddie Rothwein, who was the athlete of the week this week too. I mean, I mentioned how good their homegrown talent is. We got to talk about how the transfer portal has affected them as well. I mean, all these teams have really, really benefited from players from Division I schools coming in. I mean, it's been really, really good to see. That's for sure.
Yeah, and then going back to baseball, it's definitely been big for them as well, sitting at number 6 in the nation right now, and it's been good. Yeah. But with that, now we'll send it over to Jake Kitchen for Weekly Sports News. Apologies for that mistake again. Jake, take it away.
Thank you, Logan and Leo. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Weekly Sports News. We had a busy week, so let's not waste any time and get right into it. The final day of the NBA regular season was on Sunday, where we saw all 30 teams play to see what their fate would look like in the final standings. Let's take a look at where each team ended up in the playoffs. Let's start with the teams in the play-in tournament. In the West, the Phoenix Suns, Portland Trail Blazers, Los Angeles Clippers, and Golden State Warriors are all playing for the 7 and 8 seeds, while in the East, it's the Philadelphia 76ers, Orlando Magic, Charlotte Hornets, and Miami Heat all playing for a shot to make the first round. Now for the seedings, the Oklahoma City Thunder and Detroit Pistons sit at the top of their respective conferences. This marks the Thunder's third consecutive #1 seed, while it's the Pistons' first playoff appearance in 7 years. Both teams will be matched up against whoever secures the #8 seed. Next up are the #2 seeds with the San Antonio Spurs and the Boston Celtics taking charge. Just like the Pistons, this is the first time the Spurs have reached the postseason in 7 years. On the other side, the Celtics look to make a push with a now healthy Jason Tatum. Both teams will go up against whoever earns the #7 seed in the play-in. For the #3 seeds, the Denver Nuggets and New York Knicks hold their spots. Both teams will take on the #6 seeds, with the Nuggets facing the Minnesota Timberwolves, while the Knicks match up against the Atlanta Hawks. Finally, we have the #4 seeds. In the West, we have the Luka-less Los Angeles Lakers, and in the East, it's the Cleveland Cavaliers. They'll be going up against the #5 seeds, where in the West it is the Houston Rockets, and in the East it is the Toronto Raptors. So far, it has been an amazing season, and I'm sure the greatness will continue into the postseason. Now moving on to the other sport that has 82 games, the NHL. There is still one more game to be played in the regular season, so we will not go too deep in the playoff picture, but all we should really care about is the Philadelphia Flipping Flyers making the playoffs for the first time since the bubble. Let's go burn the city down, Philly. Finally, the best part about last week was the Super Bowl of golf, the Masters Tournament. A total of 91 golfers teed off on Thursday with dreams of putting on the infamous green jacket on Sunday evening. After round 1, Sam Burns and reigning Masters champion Rory McIlroy led the leaderboard shooting 5 under. The second round is where things started to shift. At the end of Friday's round, McIlroy held a 6-shot lead, which was a record for the largest 36-hole lead in tournament history. Everyone thought Rory was going to walk away with the tournament with ease until he shot 1 over on Saturday and was tied with Cameron Young for first heading into the final round. During the final round, McIlroy shot just 1 under par, but thanks to his stellar performance on Friday, he was able to hold off Scottie Scheffler and win back-to-back Masters tournaments. There are a lot of Rory haters out there, but not me. Congratulations, Rory. Well, that is it for me on this week's segment of Weekly Sports News. As always, I am Jake Kitchen, and I will see you all in 2 weeks when we will be underway with both the NBA and NHL playoffs. Now let's have Logan and Leo put a bow on the show.
Thanks, Jake. How about the Masters? Rory McIlroy winning again.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty impressive, too. I mean, there was an amateur, Braden Holtz, who was a real estate agent competing in the Masters. How about that? That's not a story you see in sports every day, too. But, you know, we got to move over to the Flyers, too. Because
that is my big story. Flyers clinching a playoff spot for the first time in 5 years. I'm so ecstatic. I'm going to try and go to the first playoff game.
Well, there you go.
Philly.
It's going to cost him an arm and a leg. So we might see Logan here back with only one arm when he's back in the control room next. But we also got to address the absence in the room. Gerasimus isn't here this week, too. And he said he wasn't coming in because the Union lost. But if you weren't checking the MLS standings, the Union got their first win in MLS this past weekend. But Yuri's not here. Coincidence? Yeah. I think not.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see Gerasimus come back for our next episode. But, you know, soccer isn't really my big thing. I mean, I'll follow the Union when they're in the playoffs, but soccer sometimes just really isn't my thing.
Yeah, we know soccer's not your thing.
Really?
Yeah, soccer's not your thing. We actually have a compilation of clips from this past week's RTN stream about you playing soccer.
Oh my God! No.
Yeah, let's roll the tape. Let's see what we got here. And so Logan is in net. He gets put in net after 4 goals, and then the camera's panning into him. So after 30 seconds, he lets in 1 goal. And then we're like, "You've had enough, Logan. Get out of net." That's what Gerasimus said to you too. And then look what he does on this corner. He heads the ball into his own net. The Sports Cam FC has struggled for goals all season, and Logan just allowed the other team to score too. So talk about a dynamic threat as ever, as we're going to see the replay right there too. That's just brutal. He's getting all kinds of stick from all the guys over there. I mean, you really can't make that up.
Yeah, I really didn't expect that to happen.
What do you have to say for yourself?
I am sorry to SportsCam. I'm sorry to SportsCam FC. I'm sorry to the entire team. I will not be showing up to our playoff game based on our performance or based on my performance in the last game. It's best for the team if I just don't bring my soccer skills out there because clearly Soccer is not my thing.
Yeah, and because Logan did so bad in that, we have to cancel next week's show. No, I'm kidding. That's not the reason. Jason Kelsey is coming to town. So instead of us being here, we will be over at Flieger Concert Hall when Jason Kelsey comes to Rowan University, 6 p.m. April 21st. Can't miss event.
Yes, and then our last episode will be on April 28th, so you do not want to miss that. Gerasimo should be back by then, but we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see if the union
union willing.
Depends
we'll
on
see.
the union.
We'll see. We'll see. But I think that's all the time we have on the show today. So from our hosts and from our crew and our cast as well too, it's been a great show. And as always,
go Profs!
Profs!